Hi, mamas. I'm Isabel, your host here during this masterclass, your guide to thriving, not just surviving on the postpartum journey. I'm so happy to be here with Jenny. Thanks, Jenny, for just like allowing us into your life. I'm so looking forward to sharing you with all these beautiful mamas. Before we really dive in, will you just tell us a little bit about yourself so that everyone can get to know who you are?
Yeah, sure. And first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenny Eden Berk, and I'm a certified eating psychology coach and a body image mentor. I wrote a book called The Body Image Blueprint, and I also do motivational speaking. So essentially, I really just help women heal their relationship with food and with bodies, which it can often be very fraught and conflicting and confusing and very difficult. So I feel really passionate about what I do and helping moms, helping teens, even men as well.
Wonderful. It's such important work because how we view ourselves really comes forth in how we care for ourselves, but also how we care for our loved ones. So, yeah, it's
Absolutely.
not to be put aside. I think it's, really meant to be at the forefront of where we put our attention.
I agree, especially for moms who, second they become a mom, it's not about us anymore,
Yeah.
it's about that other person. But a lot of moms take it to the extreme where they forget about themselves and they
Yeah.
forget how to nurture and nourish and bring self-care. So,
Well, no more, right? Like I'm on a mission to changing that. I know that was my MO when I first became a mom, but let's not go, let's like create a new culture around this postpartum time. Like let's make this a time that we actually can enjoy. And I know some moms do. But which brings me to my question for you. What was your postpartum journey like?
well, I'm the mom of three. So I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. So I'm a little bit past that whole,
Yeah.
I remember it very well because it is one of the most profound experiences that you go through is this anticipation of becoming a mom. And no matter if it's your first child, your last child, you are growing this precious, beautiful human being. And there's always the knowledge that your whole life is going to change. Either you're adding to your family or you're becoming a mom for the first time. And I feel like I know for myself and maybe for you and others that I was so caught up in the pregnancy itself, making sure that the pregnancy was healthy, that the baby was healthy. I didn't even think about what comes after. Like I knew, like I got the baby stuff in the crib, but I really wasn't prepared for so much, how difficult breastfeeding would be, how unbelievably challenging the lack of sleep would be, the emotional whirlwinds, the ways that your hormones shift, the ways that your body is moves differently, feels differently. And I wish that more attention was paid to that piece of it. Not to mention that you have to take care of a baby. And a lot of women say, oh, it's so intuitive. For me, it wasn't intuitive at all. I had to really learn how to become a mom. So you're dealing with all kinds of stressors, and of course it's joyful and there's so many amazing things too, but I wasn't prepared for all the scary part of it.
Yeah, I can just so relate to everything you're saying. I was preparing for labor a lot. And then I realized, oh, I don't even know how to bathe my baby, let alone, bathe myself. Yeah.
Gosh, that reminds me of like the first time I bathed my baby. My husband, it was like a group project. I think my mom was there,
Yes.
and my husband, and we like had the thing, and she cried the entire time.
Yes.
It's just like this is what it's going to be like. We see these like YouTube videos, and they're like in their
Yes.
bath, getting their little sponge bath, and it was like the opposite.
Yes. Yes, and so we don't want to scare, new moms or pregnant moms, but we want to give a reality check, right? Because that's normal. Like the first bath you give your baby may be this peaceful, Instagram worthy, moment, but it might not be too. And that's okay. And let's like be real and talk about these times when it's difficult.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said that because it's true. Like, just because that's my experience, it may be totally different for you. Every woman's experience is different and every baby is different, you know? So yeah, it's a great point.
So let's talk a little bit about how our bodies change, and then this concept of getting our body back after baby comes, and how soon it's appropriate to even ask that question, if at all. I'd love to hear your comments on that.
Yeah. So obviously this is something that's so important to me in the work that I do. I work with a lot of young moms and do workshops and whatnot. And it's one of the major sort of areas that women really struggle with is, you know, we sort of have 9 months to accept the burgeoning belly, all the kind of fun things that happen when you're pregnant. And there's also some not fun things,
Yeah.
like the sciatica and the line and like all these things. But like, very often we're very proud of our bumps. We're very proud of what we're carrying. We're showing the world that we're this fertile, nubile, like glowing woman, right? It's very divine. It's very powerful being pregnant. And then all of a sudden you have this baby and all of the attention is off of you and it's on the baby. And not only that, but the attention that is on you is all about, oh, how is she looking? Like, oh, did she get the weight off yet? Or I'm like, oh, look at those stretch marks. And like, her boobs, you didn't used to look like, you know, and all of a sudden, like, I wasn't prepared at all. So I worked at a national weight and health management company for 13 years. And throughout that whole process, I had all my kids there. So my clients, like the people I worked with, they were constantly seeing me go up and down and up and down in my weight. And so what it was is actually I was facilitating classes for people who were looking to lose weight. And here I was like struggling to keep a certain amount of, weight, keep it at a certain level for my pregnancies. And then I always felt like the race was on. So when was I going to lose this weight? And I feel like there's a lot of media pressure, a lot of pressure in general to, like you said, get the baby weight off really fast. Like you see Heidi Klum walking down the runway with her wings, like 7 days after she gave birth, or you see in all these magazines, like, see how so-and-so like dropped the baby weight in like 2 days. And you start to feel like there's this expectation and there's this norm that you will lose it very quickly. Not to mention that I was always told, like, oh, as soon as you breastfeed, it's just going to melt right off. It's just going to, amazing. It's going to come right off. And it was actually the opposite for me. Like, I could not lose a single ounce while I was breastfeeding. And if we're taught things and we're not really given the expression and the flexibility of every woman's experience and how it can be different, then we start to feel like something's wrong with us if we're not following that path. And that was, I felt, very damaging to me psychologically, emotionally, because my purpose was to care for this child. And internally, I was worrying about my calories and fat grams. And it just seems so almost like there should be like a waiting period where you just focus on the transition of becoming a mother, how to embody this new body, how to like understand it and communicate with it, and put all that other stuff aside.
Yeah.
And there's so much more I want to talk about that. I know that, we don't have a ton of time, but what I was going to say is, like, I just remember going to the store for the first time to buy something postpartum and being shocked at the size that I was in, and I remember weighing myself in the hospital after I gave birth, thinking, oh yeah, it's going to be like 30 pounds down. And I like literally had lost 10 pounds. I'm like, wait a minute, the baby was 8 pounds. Like, how did I only lose 10 pounds? And again, it's just feeding into this narrative, like something's wrong with me, I have to fix this, instead of just dropping into the experience of motherhood, which is in and of itself so glorious and so life-changing, right? So that was my first experience with it. And then with subsequent pregnancies, there's a different story, but.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about those. Your experience with the other pregnancies too. How was it different?
Well, so because I was in working at a national health and weight management company, helping other people lose weight, I felt a lot of scrutiny, and that was like a big spotlight on me to be that role model, to lose the weight, to see my clients watch me lose this weight. And it was one of the reasons why I left that industry in the first place and focus now instead on eating empowerment and body image and acceptance and things like that, because the level of scrutiny and pressure that I felt was really intense. Not to mention that I would have, so with subsequent pregnancies, I would have clients walk into the office and be like, oh, are you expecting again? And I would be like, you know, I maybe I lost 5 pounds that week and I was feeling so good. And I'm like, you know, I did my core exercises and someone would say that to me and my whole world would crush. Like, how could you say that to me? Like, I just lost 5 pounds. I went to the gym every day. And people will have their perceptions. And I realized that it's not my job to impress somebody else. It's not my job to lose weight for you, for anybody else, except it's on my timeline and what feels right for me. Same thing with the pregnancies. I tried so hard not to gain too much weight with the first one. With the second one, I had some complications. I couldn't exercise. I gained the same amount of weight no matter what I did. And I feel like that's really important for moms to know, is that your body has this innate intrinsic wisdom. It knows what to do. Of course, you want to feed it healthy, balanced foods. Of course, you want to move in a way that's right for your body mechanics during your pregnancy and check with your doctor. But what I found is for all three, it's the same amount of weight no matter what I did. And so for the third one, I was a lot more calm. I'm like, my weight's just going to do what it does. I'm going to calm myself a little bit. And also recognize that postpartum, I'm going to have a toddler and a 5-year-old. I'm going to be, you know, I'm older now. I was 37 when I had my last child. And it's time to like do this on my terms. I'm not doing this for anybody's, and maybe it won't happen at all. And I'm going to just raise the white flag on my body. And you know what? I surrender. It's okay. Do what you need to do. And I'll do my job, which is to feed you the best foods I can, to move in the way that feels right, and to care for my children, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love what you said about just learning through each child, and that my wish for the moms listening, whether this pregnancy is your first or sixth, that we can approach it from this place of I know the past was more difficult and this present moment doesn't have to be as difficult. And we can learn from your experience so that we don't actually have to experience those painful paths of self-judgment and body shame.
It is a lot of body shame, but also your body's hurting. Like breastfeeding in some ways is uncomfortable. Like I would have contractions still postpartum, like I'm in pain a lot. And people who have C-sections, that's a whole nother level. You have surgery. You've got to be caring for yourself, you know, and I just didn't have that perspective. And, you know, I wish I did at that time, because things would have been really different, I think. And also just not only does your weight, and we're not even just talking about weight, but like my body changed. It just changed. And it's funny because we, in some ways, accept changes. You know, we accept that we get older. We accept that we go through puberty. Our body changes. Our body changes all the time. It changes massively when we're pregnant. But for some reason, we don't accept changes related to postpartum, like the stretch marks and the redistribution of weight, your breasts change, you know, hormones change, everything is different. And we kind of are always hoping we're going to go back to our glory days. But what a lot of women don't recognize is that maybe that's ahead of us, even just the way it is right now. Because ultimately what I work on now with people is moving from, it's not that you don't care about your parents. It's not that you don't put makeup on, or like, you don't, you know, wear nice clothes. It's really about how can we move from the surface level of how we look to how do we feel amazing. Because when we feel amazing, that shows up on the outside, no matter what you weigh, no matter what your size, what your age. Like, haven't you ever seen somebody who's just so embodied and in their skin, and they're so confident and comfortable, and they're not you know, like traditionally slim or, you know, model-esque, but they emanate this beauty and, you know, just this confidence. Like, that's where it's at. And that's what I work on now with folks, is moving from that surface area to like just feeling beautiful and embodied in your skin. And it's amazing when you can get to that place.
So what tips would you have for women to feel that? Can you give us like something tangible that we can do to really feel amazing that may not outwardly look amazing?
Yeah, so there's a few things that I did just in my own healing journey. One of the things is to do a body scan. So every morning or before bed, I'll do like just a brief body scan, and I shift from, so I used to be like very critical, let's say of my stomach, because I had a very flat stomach. I always had a big, hips and butt, but my stomach and my waist were always very flat. And so for me, I had to grieve that when I had
Hmm.
children, because it's never gone back to that. But so I used to hold it in judgment, right? And now when I do my body scan, my hands always go to my stomach, and I shifted from this place of judgment to complete gratitude. Like,
Hmm.
thank you so much for carrying these children. Thank you for doing what you need to do to help me thrive. You know what I mean? So it's moving from how the body part looks to what its purpose is. Like, what are these arms for? They're to hold my children. They're to hold my groceries. They're to, do whatever I can to just show up in the world in this really powerful way, right? And that's so much more impactful, both to me and the people I touch in this life, to focus on the purpose of the arms rather than how they look, right? And so that's been a major part of my healing process. Is like, wow, my body didn't ask this of me. It didn't ask me to like sit there criticizing my stomach. That's not why it's here. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. Also shifting from really aggressive over exercising to lose
Hmm.
weight and to
Yeah.
burn calories, to moving in a way that feels really good. So for a long time, I didn't do yoga because it didn't burn enough calories and it wasn't cardio enough and it was whatever. And when I realized, like, oh my God, yoga is so powerful. It's so embodying. I feel so safe. My body feels so great moving that way. And letting go of the calorie piece of it, the expectations of the behavior itself, right? So exercise was a means to an end. Now it's because I enjoy the process of it. And for me, that made all the difference in feeling good in my skin, because I was working with my body as opposed to running, just because running is a huge admired so much in our society.
Hmm.
And I tried to be a runner, but that's not me. So when I feel like I'm living my authentic life and I'm moving in a way that's respectful of my body mechanics, my lifestyle, everything feels very aligned, and I can truly show up in the body that I have in its most powerful form, as opposed to conforming to what other people think it's supposed to be. Do you know what I mean?
I
And
do.
it takes time, but I can't really describe how peaceful it is to not be bullying my body anymore, and how
Hmm.
to just, really focus on my five senses. That's another tangible thing I would say.
Hmm.
Instead of like focusing on primarily on how your body looks and what you need to do to make it look or craft your body in a certain way, like focus on how things feel, like how do fabrics feel, mindful eating, like scents, like different smells and scents. When you really tune into your five senses, you can really, in this very different way, marvel at the ways that we're able to experience pleasure and aliveness. And that's very healing.
Very healing. And then we get to teach our kids all those things, because I don't know about your kids, but my kids learn more from what I model to them rather than what I tell them.
Yes, absolutely. That's a whole nother
I
virtual.
know. We could talk for hours on that subject alone.
Yeah. So, and I have three girls, so I feel like a huge
Yeah.
responsibility to just let them know it's the way you are. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, gorgeous. Like, you have every right to feel confident and embodied in your skin. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. But
Yeah.
it's so hard. They
It
get
is. Yeah.
so much a parent can do. They're going to be influenced by their peers and
Yeah.
by society. Moms can only
Yeah.
do their part, but yeah.
That's an important piece too. Yeah. We do what we can. And then there's some non-attachment we have to have.
Mhm.
So what would your advice be to your past postpartum self? If you could give her any loving advice, what would it be?
Oh, I love this question so much because, my first child, my oldest is 13, and I was a different person back then altogether. I didn't have these experiences. I was very diet focused, very weight focused. And I would have just said to myself, be fully present in this moment, because this this experience is precious, it's fleeting, and I don't want to be focused on my corporeal, my physical appearance during what is the most groundbreaking, like incredible experience of my whole life. I would have said, stop. Like, let's focus on this present moment because it's amazing, you know? And I can write all about that later. I have time. I have plenty of time to do that or not. But
Yep.
right now, my priority is my family and self-care. And that's it.
I love that advice, honestly, for any woman at any season of her motherhood. Yeah, just to be present to this season rather than to wish for another one that's either in the future or in the past.
Absolutely. You know, and like, so there may be some new moms listening or soon to be moms, and they, you know, everybody always says like, oh, the days are long, the years are short, and it goes so fast, but it really does. It really does.
It does.
Like, wow, you know, like, so meditate on it, be present, enjoy the cries, enjoy the giggles, and really focus on how you can nourish yourself and move and be in a way that is so that you can be your most fully present self to your family and to your needs and self-care.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for that little gem. I really appreciate it. Jenny, is there anything else that you want to share with the mamas today before we sign off?
You are important, you are needed, you are enough. Whether you work full-time, work part-time, stay at home, breastfeed, don't breastfeed, lose the weight, don't lose the weight, you're enough as you are. And I don't want any mom to ever forget that, because there's too much judgment in this world from other moms about how you act as a mom, how you don't, how you discipline. Everybody's on their own journey. We just need to support one another, lift each other's up, elevate our voices, and we're the ones who are going to make massive impact in the world. So let's be gentle and compassionate with ourselves.
Yes, amen. Well, where can the moms find you if they want to work with you or learn more about you?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I have my best place to reach me is my website, which is www.jennyedencoaching.com. And I also have a wonderful Facebook group. It's called Wellness Warriors. We have a lot of new moms in there and older moms too. And it's just a wonderful community. So I invite everybody to join me there too.
And I just want to give a shout out for Jenny's book, which is also amazing. Yes. Will you just repeat the name of it again?
Yeah, absolutely. It's called The Body Image Blueprint, and it's available on Kindle and Amazon.
Okay, wonderful. Jenny, it's been great to talk to you today, and I look forward to connecting with you more in the future.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Isabel.
Okay, take care. Bye, mamas.